Hey, Matt Noren at the Community Workbench. I proudly sponsor the Community Workbench and everything that it represents for local entrepreneurs. And speaking of which, I am a local entrepreneur. I am a realtor with Remax Bell Park in Hayville, Connecticut. Fully licensed in Connecticut to do commercial, rentals, and residential. I absolutely love my job, love working with clients. So if you are in any need for a realtor, please give me a call 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. This is Matt Norn and Kyle Morrissey. We are your hosts of the number one podcast in my basement. At the bench, we try to repair the sense of community. So every week, we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and pretty much whoever we feel like talking to. And today we have the honor and pleasure of talking with Tommy Toy Fund leaders. Scott, Betty, Jim, welcome. How are you? Betty and Jim were here about a year ago promoting the same thing, Tommy Toy Fund. Welcome back. And Scott from United
Way, Southeastern Connecticut. You got
United
it.
Way. One thing we do here is I love origin stories, how things got started. Who would like to start with the origin story?
I can start with that. But before we do, I noticed on the promo you're wearing a suit
I
as a realtor, and yet we're a little more casual here today. So that's good to
yes,
see.
the bench is very casual.
Yeah, sure. So the Tommy Toy Fund is, believe it or not, 50 years old this year.
Wow.
So 1974, like everything else, has humble origins, right? When it
Yeah.
started. So a young girl wrote a letter to the bulletin saying, "Hey, my mom can afford just about everything, to keep our household running, but Christmas is coming and she doesn't think she can afford Christmas gifts." And the girl says, "I'm a little bit older and I understand that, but my little brother doesn't. His name is Tommy."
Uh,
And so a letter was written again to the bulletin saying that,
yeah.
and the bulletin ran a story, and the response was overwhelming. Not only did that family, the young girl and her brother, have Christmas, but there was enough left over so that other kids in the area who were in need
Yeah.
got toys as well.
Nice.
All right. And so that happens as someone who worked at a newspaper for a long time. You can see the power of the press doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the folks at the Bulletin at the time, Glenn Lafreniere, who was the editor who wrote the story, and Don Bond, the reporter who covered it, they thought that was all done. All right.
Okay.
The next year, readers wrote in saying, "Hey, are you doing that toy thing this year again?" And they go, "Yes, we are. We
That's
are now,"
awesome.
and that's become the Tommy Toy Fund. And for decades and decades, that was the Bulletin's charity. And when there were hundreds of employees at the Bulletin, a lot of people were able to volunteer and help out. But over the years, as most media companies get smaller, more and more community outreach has been needed, and especially when at times we're dealing with anywhere from 4 to 5 or maybe 6,000 kids
Wow.
in eastern Connecticut, from Thompson all the way down to Groton, New London. And so it's become a real community event and a real community outreach with volunteers, with local businesses donating their time, having toy drives, donating money, good
Yeah.
sized checks, and that's allowed the Tommy Toy Fund to continue moving along. Um, we did see with COVID and the fact that we had moved away from the bulletin, it's our own entity now, that we were struggling a bit financially. And we've had a partnership for about 10 years with United Way. And we had a conversation about where do we want to go to keep this viable.
Yeah.
And Scott was more than happy to create a plan and work with his folks. And I'm sure he'll talk about that in a minute. And so that now that we are under the United Way's wing, and we're still taking care of kids in Eastern Connecticut. So we're really grateful, especially since there's not too many people left at the Bulletin who could actually do this and run this, that the United Way has really stepped up.
Nice.
And
Nice.
that brings us to the present.
Yeah. And Scott, you have anything else to add with United Way?
You know,
It's amazing.
as Jim shared, we've been on this for United Way. Southeastern Connecticut has been connected to Tommy Toy for some 10 years now, and all different versions of what that looked like of our connection from hosting the distribution site, one of the three down in New London at the Gemma Rand United Way Labor Food Center. It's our huge food bank and warehouse down in New London. And that's how we first got connected of, okay, that's a distribution site. And we started recruiting more and supporting more, supporting the Norwich distribution, which is now down with Reliance Health right downtown in Norwich. Joined the board a few years ago. Thank you, Jim, for inviting us on. And at that point, as Jim shared, of just how do we maintain the viability of Tommy Toy, what we're achieving, what we're doing. This year, our 50th year, will be the first time that Tommy or United Way Southeastern Connecticut has now taken that on as an internal program because we want to ensure it's going to continue and continue cruising along and serving the 3,500 kids that got toys last year.
Wow.
And that's toys, but they also get books, and
Right.
depending on the years, hats, gloves, additional toys. It's a lot of just more than just the toy that the kids are getting, but it's also that support for the parent.
Yeah.
And that's what's been why I think United Way has been able to really grasp and connect to this. Those are parents that are probably going to buy a toy no matter what this winter, and they're going to make it work in their budget. And squeezing that $100 or something gift in, whatever a family might be spending, that parent, mom or dad, might be sacrificing something somewhere.
Right.
And what if we, as our community, can ensure that we have a toy there and they're not sacrificing food or their heating bill or the gas for the car to get to work, whatever that might be. But instead, we're ensuring that the family has everything they need and they're not making those challenging, really difficult sacrifices every day.
Yeah. And just the overall gratefulness or that energy that gets put out into the ethos is like really kind of charges me. I don't know. I just think that's super cool. That it's kind of like no child left behind kind of thing. And I can't imagine as as being a parent and have been a child many years ago. The idea of like you didn't behave, so you're not going to get Christmas. Well, imagine behaving and not getting Christmas.
Right.
I mean, that's just heartbreaking. And the fact that you guys just you and the team bring all that to them, and there's just incredible things, especially during the holiday season, to really look at as far as Eastern Connecticut essentially is who you guys service,
Mhm.
and
Right.
because it's Wyndham, New London County, and to have that many toys for that many. I've been there. When I volunteer, I go in the back and I load up the bags of toys, and it's a lot of toys per kid. I think anyway, it's quite a few toys and books and hats and mittens and everything else that's served there. You guys do bike raffles too. There's like bike.
Yes, sometimes we get bicycles, so we kind of like to make it fair and kind of like if you pick a red ticket or blue ticket or whatever, you get your selection of whatever like the larger gifts are, which might be a bicycle, it might be a little desk or some other kind of game or toy that might be suitable. Not everyone picks a bicycle because maybe they have 4 children and it wouldn't be fair for one child to have a
Right.
bike and not the others. So yeah,
Yeah.
they get their choice of whatever we decide
No, that's
would be fair.
that's great. And then there's obviously monetary donations. Who gets to go shopping?
So I'm glad you brought that up. So
Yeah.
so the two ways that we get the toys to children is one by the toy donations from the community. So you'll see troopers and police officers and others outside of a Walmart or a Job Lot or Dollar General, and sometimes they're with their children and they go shopping. Let's get something for so that the child gets to go shopping and know they're helping others. And there's the stuff a cruiser type things. But we also, on another side, do have a toy buying apparatus. Mike Matera from Surplus Unlimited in Norwich. I'm sure you've seen that the big cowboy.
Yeah.
That was his
Yeah.
store. And for a long, long time, again, he knows how to buy things on sale. So
Yeah.
he goes to toy shows and buys things in bulk. and so he's able to get more bang for his buck. And
Right.
and that's where we are right now. The fact that the local donations have never wavered,
Yeah.
especially in northeastern Connecticut. I mean, super generous all
Yeah.
the time. But we were saying, before joining the United Way, and now trying to build up our financial reserves,
Right.
so Mike can go shopping next spring for next year,
Yeah.
right? So it's really important that that we get donations on both sides, both so Mike can get those toys and books,
Yeah.
at a lower cost, at a wholesale cost, and then
Nice.
that others share the joy, in donating, toys and books at the
Yeah.
local stores.
And that's really responsible of you because it helps the longevity of the charity, and when people donate, they know that you're being responsible with the money,
Right.
and that's a big thing. A lot of people won't donate if they don't know where it's going, or if they think it's going to be paid to a bunch of CEOs or something like that.
Absolutely. Now, over the course of my time, I was previously president of the Tommy Toy Fund for a while, and even before that, nobody took a salary. Nobody put in for mileage or dinner or anything.
Yeah.
So everything that's donated goes right to the kids, and that's happening now.
Nice.
Everything that's done, there's no overhead,
Yeah.
right? People donate their space to store toys. People donate their facilities for distribution,
Yeah.
and so every dollar, goes
Right.
to the kids. Goes
Nice.
to the kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even you have volunteers that bring their own computers on distribution day, right? Because you guys have a whole system to make sure that no one gets gets it twice, basically,
Yeah.
right?
We have in the past, but I think United Way is providing laptops for
Oh,
us this year.
Nice.
Which is nice.
Nice.
We're able to purchase enough laptops for both Northeast site and our Norwich site, and then Foxwoods Casino and their IT department provides all of the IT supports for the whole registration system.
Right.
Wow.
But then they also support our New London site. So it really is. We have 4 staff in the background that support this. One that's their team lead. And we're all hands on deck for the 2 days of the distribution. But it really is the volunteers, like my team here, that get this done. We had 400 volunteers last year between our 3 sites.
That's awesome.
And we have, think of the equivalent of a semi-tractor trailer truck, 22 pallets. We have 22 pallets or one whole tractor trailer truck arriving at all 3 sites. And we have to unload it all, sort it all by ages, get it all ready to go. It's days of work in advance that we do crazy to get it all ready. And then the 2 big day and a half of distribution. So it's a huge network of volunteers. And like Jim was sharing, and that's what's important to United Way. We take literally nothing out of all the funding that comes in. We ensure that all the funds go directly towards purchasing toys. And really, that's pretty much it. There's little minor stuff of making sure we have internet at some of the spaces, and that's about it.
Wow. That's an amazing network that you guys have developed over the years to make all that come together. And your days of distribution are December 11th from 8 a.m. to 7 and December 12th from 8 a.m. to 1. So if you're and the second day is basically whoever shows up, right? Is that kind of how that goes?
Yes, the
Is that-
first day folks should be registered recipients.
Yeah.
And then the second day, it's generally anybody who registered maybe couldn't make it the first day,
Yeah.
or anybody who didn't get a chance to register with their agency.
Gotcha.
And we do really try to push folks to register because that
Yes.
way we
Yeah.
know they're coming. We know that we have the right distribution of toys by the ages and the genders,
Yeah.
by the sites. We can shuffle some things in the last minute if we need to. So that's always difficult to sort of guess a little bit. And we also want to make sure we have enough toys for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why if you register, we know we'll getting you taken care of. But for folks that are showing up at that 11 o'clock and didn't register on the second day, we'll do our absolute best to not turn anyone away. But
Right.
it is tough. We don't always have the same age matches and things like that for folks that didn't register.
Right.
So
There have been, there have been years where have you ever seen somebody like in a commercial just go like this in a grocery store to put in the carriage? I've done that with infant toys or with gloves at different stores
Yeah.
because we were short and we had to go out and we wanted to make sure everybody got something. So I'm literally like
Just-
my arm bar right through the
Supermarket sweep.
aisle. Yeah, yeah.
What was that game show where they had to go
Supermarket
shopping?
sweep.
Supermarket sweep.
Yeah.
I feel like I watched that enough. I had a strategy down.
right?
Start with the ham.
and 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 I and I think a long time ago, like the bulletin would run it as you would maybe I don't know, like a mom and pop store.
Yeah.
And I think over the years we've that Scott said, Foxwoods was really good in implementing a better website to register folks.
Yeah.
There was a time where we would put a coupon in the bulletin, and people would fill it out and bring it to the bulletin, and somebody would have to hand type it in. And now the social service agencies who know their clients the best, who need how old the kids are, what their needs are, they've really stepped up in the last 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
even more, to register them, to take that piece of it. So like I said, it's community effort all the way through. So
Right.
those 400 volunteers include folks at social service agencies who are making sure that their clients in need are getting access to that. And then with United Way, again, their staff is well trained in helping people in need. They know how to get the word out very well.
Yeah.
And so it's really been a nice partnership, and we've kind of come into the 21st century in terms of efficiency and making sure things get done quickly and right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just piggyback on that, Jim, I think partnership has been our biggest success. Jim, in his time as the president of the board, brought on United Way and a number of other partners to really ensure that this is a community doing this together and not just a small team of engaged and concerned adults that want to support the community, but it's a number of organizations: United Way, Reliance Health, United Services, and the list goes on. And then also on the for-profit side of Mohegan Sun, Foxwoods, they both do massive setup days, both in the Norwich and New London sites. They decorate an entire gigantic basement for distribution in literally an hour and a half. That's
Wow.
the Mohegan tornado arrives and takes care of the space. And then a list of other partners that have stepped up this past year: bars and restaurants that are hosting trivia nights and other pieces to help us fundraise, because it really is very grassroots and how we
Yeah.
raise these funds. United Way is a big fundraising network, but for Tommy Toy, we're funding in a really different way. And so it's been unique, different, and a little challenging, but really the events and other ways for people to engage. We ran Christmas in July this summer to try to get out of everyone right now in November is fundraising. So we want to do something a little different, and that worked pretty well. We're going to do it again next year. So trying to figure out how to engage our community, find new partners to step up and join us in supporting our efforts.
That's awesome. What's Christmas in July like? Is it like a big event, like a dinner type of thing?
So it was a number of different events all over Eastern Connecticut at a number of restaurants. We had a trivia night. We had a 5K fun run. And there are other organizations that some of them, like the 5K fun run was already running, but they instead dedicated some of the pieces and folks, or some of the airtime for the event, and bringing an opportunity to donate a toy for your registration fees, things like that.
Oh, wow.
Eastern Chamber of Connecticut is our largest supporter. They give us a rather significant grant every year to make sure that we have the funds to be able to purchase the toys that we do need to buy. But they host us at their annual gala event and recognize us every single year, and then also support a lot of small toy drives throughout the area. There's a lot of little boxes set up in banks and other restaurants that folks can
Yeah.
distribute. They've been open since the 1st of November.
Yeah. Wow. And I know the Putnam Business Association usually does a big toy drive for their December business after hours thing, and it's usually at the bank in Putnam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
bank-
the chamber. That's
Yeah,
Oh, the Chamber of
the
Commerce.
Northeastern,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Northeastern Chamber. I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure we mention that. That is a wonderful event. So,
Yeah.
great event.
the food is fantastic.
Right.
You have a lot of fun, and the price of admission is a toy. So we get a lot of toys
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but also people, open their checkbook,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and again, just because they're feeling generous at that time of year, they understand the importance, and I'm guessing that most of the people know somebody who benefited from the Tommy Toy Fund.
Right.
And we actually have volunteers who were recipients in the past that wanted to give back. So everybody kind of knows somebody in need and can appreciate that, and so they donate well. But the Northeast Chamber's been fantastic. The
Yeah.
Norwich Chamber is getting more actively involved as well. So
Nice.
so it's like I said, the the community partnerships, and one of the things we want to make sure we mention is the law enforcement as well.
Right.
Different,
For sure.
Fire departments.
and fire
law
departments.
Yeah.
So when we say it's a community thing, it really is. It
Mhm.
really is.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's I just can't say enough about it. It's so cool. And the incredible network you have for it. That's just an amazing thing. Betty, where do you come in on this?
I handle the registration of volunteers for the Northeast, for the Killingly site.
And you've been there over a decade now?
Yeah, I think Scott asked me. I think it's been about 15 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So and how long have you been
So it's been about 10 years. But one of the things I want to say is there was a time where when I was involved that the Bulletin would take care of the Norwich site. There's 3 sites. The Norwich site, United Way would take care of New London. The Northeast site has always been volunteers.
wow.
Always. And so it's been wonderful. Don Bond, who was again the reporter who was there originally, did a
Yeah.
great job of recruiting volunteers and police officers and firefighters and fire chiefs to do different things. And so even till today, the Northeast site, which is over in Killing the Commons again this year, a
Yeah.
couple doors down from what people are used to, but the volunteers like Betty have been just the backbone of that. It's been wonderful,
For sure.
wonderful.
Sure. That's really awesome. I can't say enough about it, especially when you go there to volunteer and it's just like everybody's smiling and it's such a fun time. Remax usually gets
A crew.
at least a handful on one day or the other, and
Thank you.
we're always there laughing and just because you're back there just visiting with each other, packing toys, and,
Well, and
it's
it's
a lot of
how
fun.
can you be grumpy on a day of
Exactly.
No.
we're handing out toys.
Yeah,
Most everyone's excited to be there. Most either they're volunteers or they're receiving a gift and excited for that.
yeah,
And it's how do you be grumpy about that
right,
opportunity?
for sure.
And
Yeah.
let me interview you now.
Sure,
So
sure.
when you go, I mean, you feel pretty good about being there, and I think we've seen that with many volunteers.
Oh yeah,
Is that once they do it once, they want to come back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you grab a coffee early from one of the local hot spots
Mm.
that we've had on here, and you get there early, and everybody just kind of congregates in the back, and we're goof off, and then you just get to work, and then I believe for lunch you guys buy us all pizza, and
That's compliments of 4Gs.
oh,
They
nice.
provide the pizza.
That's awesome. And then and you just go. There's usually 4-hour shifts, but you can do 2 or whatever, and
Whatever you can provide. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And like there's shopping carts back there, so sometimes with the big families, you get 2 or 3 bags and start loading up, and it's a little bit like shopping. If you
is.
like
It is actually,
shopping,
you
it's a
are
lot like
shopping,
it.
yeah.
You get a little list, and you run through the back and
Check it
throw
twice.
in. Yeah, throw it in the cart, check it out, and yeah, that's funny. I've never seen a cart come back for inaccuracies or anything like that either. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Rare occasion does that happen. Rare
Yeah.
occasion.
So,
And
Matt,
so-
what keeps you giving your time?
I mean, I love hanging out with people. It's kind of why I designed this podcast. And it's just when it's. I mean, you can hang out at funerals, or you can hang out while you're giving and having fun, and I prefer the latter,
Good choice.
that kind of thing. And yeah, I just think of like the funeral, like when you see the family that you haven't seen forever, and you're like, really, we shouldn't just see each other at the funeral,
And then you see him next funeral.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, well, let's make a concerted effort to see each other more, and I just love that. And I mean, especially giving these interviews, it just makes you feel good. I don't know how else to describe it. And it's kind of the other thing about this, or me, I guess one of my lifetime goals is to, when I do pass, to hope that I gave more than I took. It's kind of always been a thing with me, I guess. Especially in my 20s, or when you're younger, you're usually more self-focused, and then especially when you start having kids, you think, well, you should probably give more back than you take, and try to be a little less self-focused and whatnot. And that's kind of what's pushed me to be here and be at these different events to try and give. I don't know. What about you? Is there?
And again, that's the same thing. I had been familiar with the Tommy Toy Fund as editor of the Bulletin, as an employee of the Bulletin, then editor, for a long, long time. And my job was to do stories, right? Assign stories, preview events. You know, hey, this is coming up. Hey, this is when you register. All that. And then there came a time where they were in need of leadership,
Yeah.
and I was nominated. And that's usually how that happens, right? I go, "Right, me?"
You missed the meeting.
Yeah, congratulations. Here,
Voluntold.
yeah, exactly. Voluntold. And so I came in and I saw the setup and how great it was, and I offered what I could to do some tweaks and hopefully do keep doing a little bit more and more with less and less, and it's been great. And like I said, even though I haven't been with the Bulletin for several years, I continued on because I live in Eastern Connecticut and I feel this is really important. And now with the United Way, we run monthly or so meetings, advisory committee meetings, and we talk about projects and brainstorm and things, and it's been great. I mean, staying with it, and I think we were talking today. I was in another part of the state for a good chunk of the day, but the Tommy Toy Fund gives me a chance to stay closer to the people that I've come to know and like over the last decade or so. So it's been great.
Yeah, it kind of becomes part of your family or your circle,
Sure.
that kind of thing. And it's always. I feel like when you're hanging out doing something, you bond more with people. Like instead of just sitting there staring, trying to talk or trying to force a conversation. Kind of like this, but like when I can't tell you how many friends I've gotten to know because we went over and we framed their deck together, or and we just popped a couple of tops and did a project, and it just seems like you get to hang out more often when you're doing stuff like that with each other, and trading labor, but also trading stories and hanging out. So.
Well,
And Benny, I think that's the same with you. I mean, over the course of time, Don Bond led the
Right.
Northeast group, and then Mary Jane Burke, and
Yep.
now Lorraine Corson is doing it. So, I mean, tell us about the volunteers that you
Oh,
have over the years. I mean,
it's
because
amazing.
that's the same thing. I mean, they come back year after
They
year
come back.
after year.
It's almost like a competition now. Like
Oh, yeah.
everyone wants to be there the first day, and so it's a competition to sign up as quickly as they can. And I haven't put out the list yet, but and it's the same people that want those days, whether it's the Remaxes or St. James, a group from St. James, or Amy Brunette's group, or it's
Yeah.
the real estate offices,
Yeah.
insurance offices. The gals, mostly from Girardi Insurance, they man the computer check-in desk. It's like that's their job every year. It's the same girls.
Yeah.
And of course, those same insurance offices, the Burns agencies, Archambault Insurance, Girardi Insurance, they all
Quintal,
do
right?
toy drives.
Quintal as well.
And Quintil Insurance and
Yeah.
Dr. Burt Capitelli. Quintil and Dr. Burt Capitelli have a big competition who can collect the most toys. And so every year it's a game, but they love it and we love
Right.
it.
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely have talked to a few of them about the competition, who's bringing the most toys, who's getting their clientele to bring in the most toys, that kind of stuff. That's really cool to see, and it's fun competition. It's
Right.
and it's funny enough, it's a lot of times how we kind of do our businesses now. I feel like so many small businesses have these friendly competitions of doing business, but also, you know what I mean? It's not like you have to go in and eviscerate everybody. It's oh, we're doing this. Oh, well, we're
Teamwork.
going to do that too. You know what I mean? And
And everybody
becomes,
wins.
Yeah,
Yes.
it becomes. I mean, as things go on, the more people who, you know, is the whole iron sharpens iron kind of thing, and like I've said before, I'm not everybody's realtor. You know, there's different, and one barber can't be everybody's barber, and
Right.
one restaurant can't be where everybody eats every Friday. You know, it's just that whole thing. And so it's the market share is more shared rather than like war. You know,
Right.
it's not a war anymore. I feel like it's more of a share. You know,
Right.
and as long as you bring a good product or a good service, you know, everybody can have fun with it. You know,
And they've
yeah.
made a competition. We have a new group today. I spoke with the lady from Brooklyn Market, Peter, and I think her name is Manitha. They bought the Brooklyn Gathering Club, and so they're talking about having a fundraiser for Tommy Toy program. So that's a brand new person. The VFW up in Warregan, I think it is. Maybe not Warregan. I can never remember what town it's in. But they do a huge toy drive. It
Yeah.
takes like two vehicles to bring it all back.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, so
That's
we have
awesome.
all these little organizations that all pitch in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild with the Northeast being all volunteers like that. And I feel like I've worked with like United Natural Foods, UNFI.
UNFI,
Yeah,
yes.
they usually send like 10 guys or people on
Hmm.
that day.
Yep.
And you know, I've gotten somewhat familiar with it. You know, we're like, oh, yeah, I remember you from last year kind of thing.
Yes.
And it's fun, but it's really cool that they their employer
Yes.
pays them for the day still, and they just say, all right, go help out instead of working. And I was just
And
Yeah,
like,
there are a lot
that's
of
incredible.
companies that
Yeah.
incorporate community hours,
right.
you know,
Right.
as part of their
Yeah.
paid, you know, and they're one of them. And
Yeah.
Jewett City Savings Bank,
So
they
cool.
provide the support on the Saturdays that we actually collect toys. All
Yeah.
the ladies from Jewett City Savings Bank.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about that. It's the two Saturdays.
The two Saturdays prior to distribution.
Right. So
So
the end
November
of,
30th and December 7th are
and
the
then
two
there's
days.
bunch of locations to basically drop off your toys. There's
Right.
the
They're
Troop
Dollar
D,
Generals
Dollar Generals,
in
Brooklyn.
Plainfield,
in Plainfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Troop D, anybody can drop off there. The Walmart in Putnam, the Walmart in Brooklyn,
Nice.
Ocean State Job Lot,
Yeah.
Target. The state police have been at Target the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
That's an easy
So-
road, right? Because you guys are right
Right
there.
there.
So it's right near Target.
And Target lets
for
us borrow their
distribution.
baskets.
Yeah, the carts and the baskets. Yeah, to go and put all the toys together and push them up front to
Right. To get
the
them out.
recipients. Yeah.
But you see all these, you think these police officers and troopers are gruff and tough, right? But they're out there,
Oh,
a lot of them with their kids.
With their
You
kids.
know, sometimes standing out in the cold,
The
you know, outside,
Yeah.
you know, just saying Merry Christmas and can you help? And it's I've been there, and you see people come out and donate the toy, and they
Right.
want to help
Yeah.
stuff those cruisers more than once, and it's just a nice thing to see.
Yeah, it's funny the rapport or what people view with first responders, but especially with law enforcement. They're teddy bears when it comes to kids. They're and it's it's such a. I'd love to have police officers on here if anyone knows any that want to come on, and I know that it's tough for law enforcement to do that and be a public figure in that way, but just to me, it's always been, when they have a job to do and, somebody's messing up and they have to enforce the law, that's one thing. But usually there's just a whole other side. The reason why they do that is because of their love for the community and the love for the people around, especially children. So,
And that's on their own time. So they're,
Right.
they're
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
that's
it's not
it.
like they're going out
volunteer.
and
Right.
jeans and a sweatshirt doing these. They're
They're-
putting on their uniforms and sometimes standing in the rain or the cold, and on their own time and doing it. And what we've seen is a lot of resident state troopers
Yeah.
as well, not just from the barracks, are out doing local toy drives. Like a resident state trooper in Lisbon, he organizes the Lisbon Walmart. So he rounds up the
okay.
other troopers that come
Oh,
in.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, so it's it's not only a community effort, but it's also a bit of a legacy
Right.
effort. So as we go back to Don Bond in the 70s and 80s, and now he's passed on, and the chiefs and the police chiefs and the fire chiefs have moved on, but their next person up takes over that mantle of helping out the Tommy Toy Fund. So it's really gone through generations.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, 50 years. It has to. And that's,
Right.
like I say, every volunteer needs an apprentice
Yeah, exactly.
to hand the torch down to. And with 400 volunteers, I mean, that's an incredible network to replace as, people move on or retire or whatever the case may be.
Die. Yeah. And sometimes people,
Yeah.
we have people who work, into their 70s and 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah, 50 years is a legacy. There's definitely
That's-
some
Oh, for sure.
generational
Amazing.
shifts in there. And like we are sharing, it's I shared earlier of just that partnership piece that just connects our community.
yeah.
Yourselves of small businesses to huge corporations in the area. Everyone has this opportunity to give at this time of year, especially. And it's incredible that there's 400 individuals that all want to have their time and be there. And yes, it's fun. And yes, we're supporting others in our community. And that's what I love. We use community and try not to be cheesy, but it is generally just folks that are local neighbors coming together to support other neighbors.
Right.
And that's just a neat opportunity to all be there together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's so cool, and you can just tell just by you guys being in here, like the vibe of it's so welcoming, and it's kind of like who wouldn't want to do this, that kind of thing.
Agreed. Agreed.
And so, Scott, one thing we haven't mentioned, like I said, United Way of Southeastern Connecticut has been involved with us for a decade, but now that they're brought us under their wing, they've actually added another United Way chapter that I don't know if you want to explain that.
Yeah, so there's 13 United Ways across the state. Our United Way Southeastern Connecticut is just New London County. Doesn't get up into this area. So we brought our other partner on, United Way Central Northeast Connecticut, and they've joined us to help make the connection across all 42 plus towns in Eastern Connecticut. It's a huge area, and so we need some of that supports. And they're just getting on board. This is their first year getting connected to Tommy Toy, so they're learning the process and what all is. They'll be in for a fun treat once we get into December and their distribution. But really hoping to see them help us support on the volunteerism and other pieces with their own connections up here in Northeast.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks, Aaron, for bringing that up.
Sure.
that's awesome. Do you guys have a list of partners or sponsors? Any like of the different businesses all around that you might want to mention? Do you guys?
We will at the end of the year because they're still all stepping up right now.
Right.
So we collect all those as they're coming along. We've mentioned a bunch already, just to name drop many, but we'll have that on our site of just thanking all those that have given.
Yeah.
And then on our site is also all the locations where folks in our community can register to receive toys.
Yeah.
And that's some 30 locations, some internal, some external programs, Access Agency up in this area, amongst others, that folks can just walk in, register. There's really no questions asked. If you're a family that raises their hand and says, you know what, it is going to be tight this year for me. I'm going to need some help. Come on in, we can register you, and any of our partners get them all set up. There's no forms, there's no questions. We just take care of anyone that says, yep, I need a hand.
That's amazing. It's really awesome. For those just listening to the audio, do you want to give the website out?
Yeah, sure. It's uwsect.org, United Way, Southeastern Connecticut.
Nice.
And then slash
Slash
Tommy
Tommy
Toy
Toy.
to find it easily, but you can get them. It'll be on near the front page right now, considering the season.
Wow.
And it includes events that are coming up, right?
Yep.
Different toy drives that are coming up.
Fundraising events.
Fundraising events. One of the fun ones that I usually go to is in Norwich. It's a Santa run downtown Norwich at Billy Wilson's. I don't know if you've ever been there
I
downtown.
don't think I have.
You should try it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And it's a 1 mile run through the town, and it costs you a toy. And so they put them in the window, and they have raffles and all kinds of things. And then usually the NFA cross-country teams help us bag up the toys and get them to the site. So,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's the first Friday of December. They do that every year. So, that's just one of the things, and that's been going on for a while. That like I said, the community gets involved, even down to teenagers
Well,
and
yeah, to get that younger generation involved and the students, and getting them to kind of feel that addiction of giving back. I think that's what it is for me.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good thing to
yeah,
be
let's
addicted
go.
to.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to come on a cold December night and run a mile through Norwich, come
I don't
on,
know about
come
that.
join us.
Now, so there was a couple of stories I remember where there was a leaky roof, and there was didn't something
At one of the sites.
one of the sites didn't one of the sites get a bunch of stuff ruined, and then another toy place brought toys.
Oh,
or,
yeah, okay, not ours. A
so
few years,
if you'll excuse me, tell that story.
yeah, sure.
and,
A few
I'll
years
be back.
ago, we had a surplus of toys, and there was a police toy group in New Haven,
Okay.
and they had collected a ton of toys, and they had their toys ruined, and so they had nothing for the kids in that area, and so we got together. I think it was somebody from Foxwoods who first suggested, well, we have some extra toys, let's give it to them.
Mm.
All right, so we all agreed, let's do it, and we were able to get toys down to thousands of kids in New Haven.
Oh, nice.
Nobody in our area, nobody that but kids in need are kids in need.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we were able to take care of that.
Yeah.
So that was something, and again, unexpected, last minute, and you see how all the volunteers responded.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
why
great.
it's so
It was awesome.
important for having that surplus, even at that time of year, right, or throughout the whole year, because you never know when that's going to happen.
Whenever
Right?
that, right.
Like it's just going to pop up, and they weren't even in the area, but everybody takes care of everybody, right? No
Yeah,
matter-
and
I mean, if you didn't have the resources, there would be nothing you could do. But
Right.
if you had the resources for it,
neighbors are neighbors,
Yeah.
right? No matter how far away you are.
yeah, exactly. So that's really cool to see. So if somebody wants to volunteer, is there a way to do that through the website? How should they there's an option on the website to
Yeah,
do that?
they can go to volunteer, and then they pick the location,
Mhm.
and then there are several roles that they can sign up for. And
Okay.
they're generally 3-hour shifts.
Okay.
But they're not obligated to do 3 hours if it's only 2 hours or 1 hour. And,
Right.
You know,
Right.
And those 400 folks spread out through our 3 sites, as we're saying, we need folks on the setup too. It just doesn't
Right.
magically, ta-da, it's all ready to go.
Right.
But we need folks on the Monday, Tuesdays, all 3 sites to do the setup. The Killingley site or the Danielson site were in the afternoons, evenings. The other 2, Norwich and New London, are all day during the day on Monday. And then we do a little bit on Tuesday. And then the gigantic distribution day, as Betty shared, everyone does want to be on the Wednesday, big distribution day. And we have a ton of folks that day, and then others on Thursday as we wrap up. And we have then a cleanup crew that comes in afterwards to break it all down, pack it all away, and it stores away into our Gemma Moran United Way Labor Food Center down in London, and then also Surplus Unlimited very lovingly stores a ton of our stuff for the wintertime.
Oh, awesome. And so all 3 locations and addresses are on the website, right?
Right.
Yes.
And then it gives you the dates and times that you're distributing. The one up in our area is at Killingley Commons, a little bit 3 stores down, I think. So
yeah.
if anybody's listening, it is still in the same
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 still
spot.
in the Commons, just a different storefront.
Yep. Yep.
So Scott, after your description of that, we are the original pop-up shop, are we not?
The pop-up shop?
The pop-up shop.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, the pop-up shop.
Yeah.
Stores that show up,
Yes.
do it,
50
and
years,
come back
wow.
for
It's like
50
the setup
years,
for
we've been
Halloween for
doing it.
3 weeks, and
And-
then we're gone.
And that's one of the things maybe we haven't talked about is that United Way and Reliance Health both donate a significant amount of space during that time. All right, but also Killingly Commons has been donating space to us,
Oh, nice.
0 cost.
Wow.
With
Mhm.
You
zero
know, the only thing we've got to do is get an insurance policy, right, in
Yeah.
case anything
Yeah.
happens. And so that's in different areas. You know, we don't have a set space. You know, why would
Yeah.
you have a set space year round for, you know, something that 2 weeks you're in and out? And over the course of time, we've had spaces in Plainfield, in Brooklyn, in Killingly, in Dayville, where people have just donated. You know,
Hmm.
I've got an empty building or an empty storefront. One year, we were in the old Killingly High School.
That's
Were
right.
you there
Oh,
for
wow.
that?
I was not there, but
Not
heard
there yet.
all about it.
And so it was
In the
tough in that it
band
was the
room.
coldest day of the year and the space was tight. So people would line up, you know, early in the morning, and some with their kids, and they were freezing. And then you take them through the band room where the toys were, and then get them outside. And it was a tight space.
Mhm.
And so that was, but somehow we made it work,
Yeah.
right? And that's the
Mhm.
idea, is that you make it work. And one of the things that it reminds me also is we used to have people waiting in line, like you know, it was like a open seating concert or something. Like Taylor Swift was playing in there, and they're lining up at 6 in the morning
They
when the
are.
doors
They still
open at
do.
9. And so what I would say is, because people think they're going to get better toys, or, you know, I understand if you have to get to work or
Mm.
something.
Right.
And that's why we go into the evening, and there's 2 days. But for folks who don't think you have to get there early to get
Right.
what you need, you know, or you're going to get a better toy because you're there first. You know, everything's equal. You know, even the bike distribution is by, you know, raffle, not by first come.
Hmm.
So, you know, be safe. You know,
Right.
you know, take care of yourself. You know, come when you can, and we'll be here for you.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
great. If you're registered, we got you.
Right.
No rush.
Exactly.
Right.
No
Don't-
rush.
Yes, just
Don't
coming in
stand
when
out
you
in the
can.
cold for an
Yep.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So, there's a lot of rustling around
been
here.
shopping.
But what's going on?
I stepped out for a minute. I didn't know where to hide it in here, you guys. Not we don't always get to donate here at the community workbench. It's not a given that if you come on the community workbench, we're going to give you anything as a charity. But we kind of took up a internal collection. I'm going to ask that you don't read the name of the person who wrote this check out loud. But the community workbench families have kind of taken up an internal thing. We have, I think, 9 boxes of blankets, Legos, my favorite,
Wow.
Wow.
and other random toys.
Oh, thank you.
And so
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
Thank you.
thank you.
just wanted to make sure that, you know, we give when we can. So,
That is
Appreciate that.
fantastic. And
Um,
and again, that's part of the community,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Oh,
we
for
we
sure.
appreciate that. Oh, and
Um,
kids love Legos.
oh, it's my favorite growing up,
Mhm.
and my kid now does them. And
My son
both
is
of my kids.
27, and he still
Yeah.
wants and gets Legos at
Yeah.
Christmas.
Well, now they have, you know, things that appease to the
Older, yes.
to the
Appeal.
Older.
Appeal,
appeal.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's still Star Wars. It's all Star Wars.
Which, by the way, was like rated PG-13 and R. So, as the movies anyway. So.
You know, Matt, you've given the trifecta here of your treasure, your time, and your toys.
Yes.
Ooh.
And just thank you.
You're
It
welcome.
really,
Appreciate
it.
it's
Absolutely
incredible when our community rises up and realizes that there are opportunities and there are also needs,
Yeah.
and we all have to come together to get that delivered for all of our neighbors. But just the toys that are in here, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Your financial gift, thank you.
Yes,
And then
appreciate
it sounds
that.
like you're going to be giving some of your time in December, and thank you.
Sure. Sure.
In the time here for awareness,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yeah, I
like I
mean-
said, if we can get somebody who's watching to say, you know, I could use some help this year,
Yeah.
or I've got some time, or I've got the resources to help out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
And within, you know, a day or two, I'll have this uploaded on YouTube. It can be downloaded and reshared on, and we go live when we're on Facebook Live now. You know, shortly after the live episode, you can reshare it and do whatever
Great.
you want with it. And if you download it off YouTube, you can cut it up and make reels with it, which is kind of a really big way to go on social media. So we invite anybody on here to do that, and just, you know, do whatever you can to advertise and
Share it.
push the message and
Spread the-
share it. Yeah.
We're just gonna
Sure.
go the Betty reel. right? And Benny says, yeah.
That's awesome. Appreciate
so
that a lot. That's one of the things about partnering with United Way. I think that I see a big benefit is the marketing efforts that they can provide for us that we just didn't have the ability to do.
And
They're the
bravo to our
professionals.
team.
Yeah.
I'm on the fun side of all the grant making and the programs and the activities. But agreed, there's this opportunity now. We have a whole team that are professional fundraisers that can help ensure that we do have the funds to continue doing this for another 50 years.
right.
You know, having the opportunity for United Way to step in and take the lead here on the 50th anniversary is a little daunting. But it's,
No
you know,
pressure.
so we have, yeah, exactly. So we have 50 years ahead of us that we have
Yeah.
to ensure the legacy of Tommy Toy. And folks like yourself that just keep coming out and supporting. But we have a whole team that can hopefully get us to that start and finish line as we go through that work together.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing when you mention the 50 years is the number of children annually doesn't fluctuate
Really?
greatly,
Hmm.
whether it's good economic times or bad. There's still people in need, and there's usually people who if they were in need last year, they're probably in need this year, and so that stays. So you're right. So in 50 years, no matter what the economy is, there'll still be children
Right.
who need, right?
Yeah.
And some people may think that there's more important things than a toy at Christmas, right? Not if you're a child.
right.
Well, and like I shared at the beginning of this, that it's the same to that parent that's gonna buy a toy. They're buying it, and they're making some other sacrifice in their home budget to get to that point. And what if we can help them so they don't need to make that sacrifice right when they're paying for heating oil or whatever other bills are coming up?
Right.
It's expensive to live in Connecticut, and
Sure is.
just these gifts can ensure that that mom or dad is not making a really difficult, challenging choice.
And one of the things that we've been able to do the last few years, and I know it started maybe more than that within in Northeast, is that if people are in need coming for toys, they probably need something else. And so there's been different agencies who have been able
Right.
to, help them with maybe their rent
Sure.
or
Yeah.
home heating or food or mental health or whatever they need. So we've kind of partnered with
Oh yeah,
with them as well.
TVCCA's they're showing up and talking about Operation Fuel, and Reliance Health they're talking about a number of mental health and behavioral health programs, and again trying to connect parents and families so they're aware of all the resources because not everyone realizes everything that's available in our community, be it
Right.
food pantry programs or whatever else they may need access to too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that that's a big thing is we don't have a whole lot of awareness in here, and that, just the whole idea of buying local. I thought that was a simple thing, but I find more that we really need to push that. Buying, volunteering local, and really just becoming more independent as a community. Keeping the money in the community and the local community so that it cycles through and everybody gets the benefit, the full benefits of it.
That's how we all thrive together.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That's probably a way better way of saying that.
He's a professional.
The other thing I like to talk about is the mittens and the hats. You have sweatshops making these for you.
Yes, those are the people who are 60 and 70 and 80 years old. we're
They're
talking-
knitting.
So actually, as part of Mike Matera's mission, is to we do buy gloves in bulk, and obviously
And
that's
hats.
and hats in bulk. But also, there's a wonderful group of volunteers
Yes.
who hand make them
Yeah.
for the Northeast group.
The ladies are the interfaith stitchers, and I think they meet once a week at the Westfield Congregational Church.
Oh, nice.
And they bring us boxes and boxes of hats and gloves and mittens that they've knitted all through the year.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned something today.
Amazing.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
I'm going to be up at the
amazing
Northeast
lady.
site this year. It's the one.
Oh, you are?
So
Oh,
I'm
good.
going to hang out with
First
you all.
day.
So, yep. So I'm excited to see and learn some of the pieces up here. in
Yeah,
Northeast
they're
too.
great. I mean, it's wonderful. It's just wow.
Yeah, they're
That's a
usually
lot of
all
work.
spread out on the table, and they just look colorful and beautiful. And it's just like I said, everything is just so warm and inviting about the whole thing. And then in the back we're partying. So
Shopping cart races, and, yeah, demolition derbies. Yeah. It's too funny.
It's
But-
really very gratifying to see like a first time parent come through and they are so overwhelmed that they just can't say thank you enough. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we do it.
yeah, there's so many that are just so grateful
Mm-hmm.
for it, and you can't put a price on that.
No.
You can't. Just making sure that every kid in the area has somewhat of a Christmas, and the books. I mean, the books are so huge to help a child read. Is there anything
Anything better?
anything more valuable that you can give them than helping them read and expanding their imagination? And I know I benefited greatly as a kid, being read to and reading and doing Legos.
Those instructions are hard. Instructions are hard. Yeah, and that's one of the things again. Mike Matera does is he looks for age appropriate and educational books.
Yeah,
And some of them are classics.
yeah,
And some of them are sports related or whatever. But he's looking for something where the kids are going to learn something. It's not just a
Right.
Yeah.
a throwaway story.
Yeah.
Almost all of them are hardcovers.
yeah.
So
noticed that too,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's one of the key components of that. And on that note, I want to make sure people understand one of the things we have is one of our few hard and fast rules is no violent toys.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
no any kind
Thank you,
of
Jim.
guns or knives or ninja outfits or swords or whatever. Even Nerfs we frown on. Because
Yeah.
we just want to make sure that it's something that's
Yeah,
safe,
it's
safe
got to
for
be
everybody.
acceptable in every household. Too,
Right.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for hitting on that. That is that challenge of, I know I had many of those toys growing up and they're fun and that was good in my household, but not all households love those at home.
Right.
Right.
And the parents don't know what we're giving them when they're going in the bag. So ensuring that they are the universally accepted toys greatly
And
appreciated.
Nerf guns now go a lot faster than they did when we were growing up.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they should be including safety glasses in the boxes.
Some of 'em do.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah, full
Okay.
masks. Yeah. And the other thing too is I know, when somebody has a baby or a toddler, it's more fun to buy for, right? Everything's cute, the
Yeah.
clothes are cute and the toys are cute. But we have to remember that we're benefiting kids age 12,
Yeah.
up to age 12 and, preteens are hard to buy for.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, one of the things that Mike Matera has done again is, art kits or sports supplies, but not everybody is artistic or athletic. And so, if you're donating toys, if you see something that maybe a kid or a kid
Yeah.
you had, maybe ask them what was cool when they were 12 or 13,
Right.
and that would help us out as well. So,
For sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be gender specific either. Obviously, if it works for either,
Right.
art supplies work for everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's a lot of great toys out there that kids will play with, like Legos. People
It's
play with
universal.
into their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I'm looking at everything behind me. I would play with all that.
we could have had that car put together by now. if we opened that box, I think.
Actually, one thing that's really fun that my wife's family does is a Lego building contest on Christmas Day. 'Cause they all get the same kit. All the kids,
Really?
and
Oh, speed.
Oh,
is
and
the
they see how
name of-
fast they
and
can
it's
build it.
Speed
That's really
and
cool.
accuracy. It has to
Yeah.
be done right, otherwise your time isn't up yet. So they,
What's the
Um,
prize? Is there a
well,
bragging
for
rights,
us
or-
older kids, it's bottles of booze.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, real prize.
That's right.
Nice.
And
I thought
then-
it was the honor of a high five.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and just to encourage that type of non-screen type of play and the imagination building type of stuff.
Yeah. And just take a look at the Legos you have here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it's got cars and I have to say my daughter is getting to be in her mid-20s now, and Lego does a great job with the flowers and the bouquets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The succulents and
Yeah,
the,
my
and the
daughter bought a,
Thanksgiving. So every year, she gets one of those usually for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Because she puts it together for Thanksgiving.
yeah, my kids are big Disney folks, and one of them my oldest is 17, and so she just buys her own now, but she'll buy everything Disney. She put together a Harry Potter one. And growing up, my cousin used to get the Hess one at
Right,
Christmas.
the
It's
Oh,
like,
truck.
wow.
yeah,
The Hess
and-
trucks?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so he always would get that and he'd put it together, but he never, like, he played with it a little bit, but he was more of like, I'm going to put it on the shelf and look at it. So he's my age and he has a Lego room with all his Legos he's put together and just, it's
Wow.
more like models. For
That's
it.
dedication.
Yeah.
That's
So this
awesome.
podcast brought to you by Lego,
Yes.
a Connecticut company.
Yeah.
The engineers
Used to
there
be.
get to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sure,
That's like
absolutely.
Hasbro. Yeah.
So if there's a kid out there that wants to do Legos for a career, they have that there. That's pretty wild to me.
Yeah, have you ever been to the Big E where they have a big
Lego
Lego
display?
setup? Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
I've-
like life-size Iron Man one year I saw.
The
It was
Connecticut building,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, in the Connecticut.
You
It
know,
was pretty
we've
cool.
we've taken our kids to the Lego Expo in Hartford. I think twice now.
Wow.
So
That must be amazing.
yeah, they have big piles on the floor you kid can just dive into, like Scrooge in his money pit. And then
Yeah.
put stuff
There used to
together.
be an old Wanamaker store in downtown Philly that did that when I was growing up in the early 80s. And they filled a whole room with literally a dump truck came in and dumped all the loose Legos in. It was like insanity for us. It was a lot of fun.
So it's
Yeah.
more imagination than following instructions, right?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
they have a lot of the sets all set up on tables and stuff, but there's always
Oh.
area, and then there's some of them are life size. Like I can remember one year when they had the full Buzz Lightyear that was like 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Like a whole thing. And, so they have statues like that as well as a lot of the things, and it's pretty cool when you can, because when you're a kid, you'll get like a space one here, and then you'll get the Western or the city ones, or you know what I mean. But these are like you'll see like the 20 sets that are a series, and they're all together.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's kind of cool to see. But then then on the floor there's like a pile of Legos that they encourage you to play with.
Right. That's
So,
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's
Wonder
It's
if any
really
kids
interesting.
like played in that and saw the missing piece that they needed.
Exactly.
What?
Put it in their
We've all had
pocket. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like I needed this too. Oh, and it's the right color.
I'm ready for Christmas. How about you
I
guys?
know.
Legos,
Yeah.
yeah.
Talking
Yep.
about toys. Yeah.
yeah getting in the Christmas mood, the giving mood. Hopefully
right.
this podcast helps out with that. So,
Yes. Hopefully, we'll encourage some folks to maybe have some fundraisers and
yeah, or volunteer
or a
their
toy
time.
drive.
Yeah. So
Or business versus business. Yeah, for
business
toys, right?
versus
Yeah,
bu-
and have
business versus business
Yeah.
for us has been huge.
yeah,
Huge.
that's really cool how you pinned them against each other.
I don't know how that came about, but it's developed into a big competition.
Yeah.
But they love it.
They
Yeah,
do because
yeah,
they want us
it's-
to don't pick it up till the very last minute that you can on Tuesday.
And pick it up after them.
We have to do it.
I want to know their
simultaneously.
count.
We have to do it simultaneously. That's when we
Oh,
have
that's funny.
we have the younger kids, like my grandkids, volunteer, and then we've recruited a couple of their friends because the storefront is just packed with stuff that day, and you got to get it sorted for the next morning. So we've had a lot of the teenagers, preteens and teens, sitting on the floor sorting stuff out while the ladies take the baskets and go through. So it's it's good to get the younger kids involved. Plus the high schoolers too. They need
Yeah.
to do community service,
Right.
so you can sign off on their
there you
time.
go.
Thanks for the plug. I was going to say, anyone that does need community service, they can
That's
connect
right.
to
Yeah.
Betty handles the
Anybody.
Northeast, but all of our registration for all of the sites is all online.
Right.
And we're happy to sign off on those forms if it's high schoolers getting the service hours, whatever
Right.
it is.
National Junior Honor Society, National Honor Society. I think
Correct.
They all have
Exactly.
requirements, all
Mhm.
of those. So yeah,
That's right.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
And it, like I said, it keeps the generational
That's right.
giving going.
Yeah, that spirit of philanthropy, and how do you build that culture where giving is important? It's
Right,
something we all need to do,
Right.
and that philanthropy is really important for any age.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it's contagious, right?
Right.
Mhm.
You see other people that you're like, oh, well, I'll go back into Walmart and get a toy, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always toys on the clearance rack at Walmart too,
Mhm.
which is now
Exactly.
in the back of Walmart, Brooklyn Walmart.
Yeah, that was
after
pretty
they
strategic
renovated.
thing they did.
Yeah.
Putting
Fill
the-
your card on the way there. Hey, before I don't know how much time we left, but
Oh,
before we
we-
go, we've talked about the Northeast a lot and about United Way, but Reliance Health has been a huge,
Okay.
huge benefit for us. They're located in downtown Norwich. a few years ago, we were looking for a site. One of the many empty storefronts in Norwich. We had worked our way through, and they got filled with a carpet store, and then we were at another site, and they got rented out. And Reliance Health had a brand new facility with a brand new um, basement meeting space,
Yeah.
wide open. And for some reason, they volunteered it. It was brand new, move-in quality, and they volunteered the space. And um, Heather Renee Paul is our contact through there, and it's been great. So we talked a little bit about New London and Northeast, but the Norwich site, I just want to give a plug for
sure.
Reliance Health,
That's awesome.
and actually on December 7th, is that a Saturday?
Yes.
They sponsor a road race. All
Okay.
right, we're back to running. So if you want to donate a toy at their road race, maybe that's okay. If you want to run a 5K,
Ooh.
that my wife tells me seems to be always uphill. Never comes downhill. Please do that. But they've been wonderful for us too. And I know she's not here today, but I wanted to make sure that Heather Renee, and she's the one who ran the trivia game.
Thank you. I was
Oh,
gonna
she did.
her and her husband did.
that allowed us to earn some good money to
Nice.
go for the
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, when you pair drinking and raising money, it seems
Yeah.
like it becomes successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on and sharing your stories and sharing Tommy Toy Fun with the community workbench world. Can we call it a world yet?
Sure.
Sure.
It's our world.
It's a year old now. It's a year old now.
Yeah, we just hit a year last week. We had an extra podcast with the two of us, which is now on Spotify and YouTube, but I didn't put out that post yet. So if you want to see us ramble on and give thanks to
Yeah, a lot of people.
if we didn't mention you, give us a call. We can have you on again. But we tried to talk about every guest that we had, and it was 56 of them. So
Wow, that's great.
What did they say about us, Betty? We have to go find out.
I know.
We talked about how you were coming on this week.
yeah, we plugged you right at the end too.
Well, we
So,
appreciate you having us.
Agreed.
And-
Yeah, I can't thank you all enough for
Yeah.
just the recognition and hopefully just sharing opportunity for others in the community to give. And just like you have in this room of your time, talent, treasure, toys, however that is. So thank you.
So,
Appreciate it.
and you guys are obviously welcome back anytime, but this time next year works too. So,
Absolutely.
Or Christmas in July.
Yep.
I'll come back for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we try to do a commercial, we usually record it before any Monday night at 4:30. We
Yeah.
usually, if you want to sit here and plug an event, or if you want to email me an event to mention on that, it
Oh,
usually
that's
airs on
nice.
Thursday. Yeah, we're always looking to, because it's fun to say come Monday night at 6 and whoever else is coming on, but it's fun to have a little bit extra to encourage buying or volunteering local or donating local, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, becoming a
That's great.
community resource and
Trying to that's-
schedule.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the big hope. So,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Join us again Monday night, November 25th at 6 p.m. when we go live with Jordan Zach, owner of Salute Bar Cart. He's a mobile Prosecco and brews cart. So you can, they pretty much serve anything out of the cart. As far as alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic beverages for customizing your event and the beverages in your event. You can book them for your next event at 860-535-8359. And you can tune in Monday with us at 6 to hear all about their story and what they're all about. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, and donate toys local at Tommy Toy Fun. Have great days, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.